Welcome to How to Run Profitable Retreats. I am Lainey Cavazos, retreat strategist and host of the show for coaches, entrepreneurs, and transformational leaders who want to design retreats that actually make money. If you've ever put your heart into a retreat only to walk away exhausted or worse, broke, you are not alone. This podcast is here to change that. Each week, I'll bring you stories, strategies, and expert insights to help you create meaningful, transformational retreats that also support your business, your lifestyle, and your bottom line. Let's make your next retreat not just powerful, but profitable.
Hi. So there's something nobody really tells you about your first retreat. And most of the times people think it's the venue or the marketing or whether enough people sign up. But it's actually that you built something beautiful and you poured your whole heart into it. And then you forgot to build it like a business. So you sell out the room and you make almost no money. And then you tell yourself, maybe retreats are not for me. And I don't want that for you. So today in this podcast episode, let's fix it. Yeah. So welcome back to How to Run Profitable Retreats. I'm Lainey, your host. And if we haven't met yet, I spent years designing high profit retreats and events for some of the biggest names in hospitality, places like the Ritz-Carlton and Marriott, before I brought it all into this world, helping coaches, facilitators, business owners run retreats that actually pay them back. And today it's one of my favorite topics because it's where it all begins. We are talking about launching your first retreat. So if you have been holding circles or co-facilitating someone else's events, or just feeling that quiet pull that says, it's my turn now, this episode is for you. Yeah. And by the end, you're going to know the foundations that separate a first retreat that fails and profit from one that quietly drains your savings and your confidence. So let's get into it. So part one that we're going to be covering today is like passion and profit are not enemies. Yeah. And I want to start with the belief that changes everything, because if we don't fix this first, no strategy will stick. Yeah. So many heart-led women and men come to me a little ashamed to talk about money. They might say something like, Lainey, I just want to serve. I want to hold space. I don't want to feel salesy or greedy. And I do love all that heart. I really do. But here's what I usually tell them. Passion and profit were always meant to coexist. They are not enemies. Yeah. You cannot be giving your gifts to the world if the business underneath does not hold you up. Yes. So if your first retreat loses money, there's no second retreat. The most generous world-serving thing you can do is run it like a business, not a hobby. Because a profitable retreat is a repeatable retreat. And a repeatable retreat is how you change lives for years instead of once. So as we go through today, I want you to drop the guilt. Wanting to be paid for work that transforms people is not greedy. It's what lets you keep showing up. Okay, so with that foundation, let's talk about what your first retreat actually needs. Yeah. So the first foundation is authority and positioning. In plain language, how do you stand out so the right person says yes before they even meet you? And here's the trap most first time hosts fall into, right? They make the retreat a little bit for everyone, for women, for anyone who wants to relax and connect. And it sounds inclusive. But watch what it does to the decision-making process, yeah? So when something is for everyone, it becomes what I call a nice retreat. Nice to have. It would be lovely to go. But if you don't go, nothing really changes. So she books it next year or in 3 years or never. And that's okay because nothing was really at stake. Now, compare that to a retreat that is specific and unique, right? So when you position yourself with real authority, the right woman reads your words and thinks, this is me. And if I don't do this now, I'll stay exactly where I am. That is the shift, right? That's positioning. It moves you from nice to have to I can't not do this. So ask yourself, what do you stand up for that's a little different than everyone else? What is a transformation only you, but your particular gifts and expertise can guide someone through? And get clear on that and say it boldly, right? Authority is not arrogance. It's about being clear, right? About being able to tell people. Now, the second foundation is messaging. And this is where I see the most talented people accidentally sabotage themselves. And here's what usually happens. You write your messaging to your peers. You use the language of facilitators, the language of people already in your world. And those people nod along. They get it, but here's the problem. They're not your clients. There are often other facilitators who want to co-create with you, not pay to attend. The woman who's actually ready to come would gladly pay. Sometimes she does not even understand the words you're using. I see people writing things like, I work with high-achieving women. And I always ask, who actually introduces herself that way? Have you ever heard someone, hey, hi, I'm a high-achieving woman? There are women who are high-achieving and don't see themselves that way at all. And women who aren't, and they think they are. Either way, when she reads it, she doesn't go, oh, that's me. So your job is to speak in her language, right? Describe her life, her exhaustion, her longing in the words that she would actually use. So when she reads your message and feels like you being reading her diary, that is when she's going to lean in, yes? And that is what messaging that lands. Now, let's talk about pricing. And I'm going to keep this practical because I don't want you to overthink it, right? I just want you to, your first retreat to make sense financially, right? So here's an example of how this conversation usually goes. A woman comes and tells me she wants to host 8 to 12 people and she wants to make about $12,000. Great. Then I ask her what are her costs. And she says around 11 or 12,000. So I added up with her, right? Your cost plus your goal profit, your total revenue. And divide that by your number of guests. And here's your price ticket, yeah? And suddenly we're not guessing anymore. It's just simple math. And almost every time, two things come up, right? One, she's either underpriced, and two, she forgot costs. Housing especially, people widely underestimate the venue, and then they panic later. So before you set a price, list every single cost. The house, the meals, any guides or teachers you bring in, activities, your materials, and a buffer for things you'll forget. Then you price so you actually profit. So my rule of thumb for a first retreat is aim to walk with a margin, right? Like a profit, $10,000, right? Not just a sold out room. Because a sold out room that makes no money is not a business. It is an expensive favor you did for everyone but yourself. Yeah. Now, foundation number 5, and this is the one people are most scared of, sales. I know. The world makes a lot of you want to disappear. You picture pushy, right? The telemarketer. Buy now. Spots are running out. Don't miss this. That icky energy. And I want to free you from that completely because that is not how heart-led women sell. And it's not how you have to. So here's a reframe, yeah? Selling is not taking. Selling is inviting. So when you truly believe your retreat will change a woman's life, then inviting her is an act of service. So staying quiet, being vague, never making the ask, that is not humble. That is actually withholding something that could help her. So you can sell from conviction and care. You can say clearly and super warm, right? This is what I am creating. This is who it is for. And if that's you, I would be honored to hold space for you. Here's how to join. That's it. It's not about creating any tricks or pressure. It's just about being clear. It's a heartfelt invitation made by someone who believes in what she's offering. So when sales becomes an extension of your care instead of the opposite, everything changes. Now, I get a lot of questions about logistics and location constantly. So let me give you the short version because I don't want you to get stuck there. The number one question is always, should my first retreat be local or international? And my honest answer for most people is start where you have roots. If you know a place, you have connections there, and you can gather the pieces easily, that lowers your risk enormously, yeah, on a first retreat. That dreamy international location can come second. So once you have got a successful launch, right, under your belt, and you know your numbers work, then go for it. And the other thing is don't let operations swallow you, right? The venue, the schedule, the meals, yes, they matter and you'll sort them. But your first retreat lives or dies on the four things we just covered: your positioning, your messaging, your pricing, and your sales. So get those right, and the logistics are just details you handle. Get those wrong, and the most perfect delay in the world won't save you. Yeah. So let's bring all of this home. Yeah. So your first retreat needs 5 things: authority and positioning. So the right woman says yes before she meets you. Messaging that speaks to her, not your peers. Pricing that actually profits. Heart-led sales that feel like an invitation. And just enough logistics to hold it all up. Underneath all of it, that one belief: passion and profit were always meant to coexist. So if something in this episode left you up and you felt, it's my turn now feeling, I want to invite you to something. I'm hosting a free live masterclass called Launch Your First Sold Out Retreat. It is on Tuesday, June 30th at 2 p.m. Pacific, live on Zoom. And it's where I walk you through this whole framework in real time. So you leave knowing exactly how to fill your first retreat and make it profitable. And you can save your seat. There's the links there in the show notes. And I would love to see you in the room. And listen, before you go, here's what I want you to remember. You don't have to do this alone. And you don't have to spend 10,000 hours figuring out the hard way. Your first retreat is waiting. So let's make that one full, profitable, and unmistakably yours. I'll see you next time on how to run profitable retreats. Take care.